Welcome to the Well Seasoned Librarian Podcast. I'm Dean Jones, your host, and we're going into Season 8, Episode 1 right now. And just saying that sounds so thrilling to me. You know, I've been doing this for a year and a half now, and I've interviewed over 100 people, and I tell you, it just gets better and better, and I love it more and more. I have a busy job as a librarian that I do every week, and I have a big family. If you've been listening, you've heard me talk about that quite a bit. So I'm really busy. I often have despaired that I won't have time to continue to do the podcast, but I just don't want to stop it because I love doing it so much, and I love interviewing people and presenting it to you guys. So I hope that you like it as much as me, and you'll keep listening along with me as long as I get to do this, because I just feel like this is a gift and I love it so much. Today I'm talking to someone I know you've heard of. You've probably seen her on TV, Ariel Fox, star of Hell's Kitchen. And if you've followed her on TV, you've seen that she was on episode season 6 of Hell's Kitchen, where she was in third place, which is no small feat, and she was the winner of season 18, where she got to claim the title that year. And she's gone on to be the regional vice president of Landry's Del Frisco and Dos Caminos restaurants, not just managing one, but two restaurants, which is amazing to me. And she has a new book coming out tomorrow, as of this airing, which is on Monday. So if you're hearing this on another day, it's probably already out. It's Spice Kitchen, Healthy Latin and Caribbean Cuisine. It's just a magnificent book full of wonderful flavors, very inventive. In many ways, this is really her own cookbook. I'm not going to say this is a type of cookbook. I really hasten to pigeonhole this because while it is about Latin and Caribbean cuisine and flavors, it's really just a great cookbook in general with a lot of really solid, wonderful recipes that just happen to be healthy. I tell you, you're going to love everything in this cookbook. I really, really heartily recommend this. I know you hear me say that a lot, but I'll tell you, I really love this cookbook. I've made 3 things of this so far, and I'm looking at making more. I already got other things planned from the cookbook coming up. As we get into fall, a lot of the soups are going to be major hits in my house. And of course, the pozole rojo is just one that I've made for my family, and they want to eat again. We had no leftovers on that one. That one went completely. So this is a good cookbook. So coming out tomorrow, Spice Kitchen, Healthy Latin and Caribbean Cuisine, as of this listening on Monday. I'm going to take you to my conversation with the wonderful and very generous with her time, Ariel Fox. And on we go. Welcome to the Well Seasoned Librarian Podcast. I am very excited today to have Ariel Fox on the podcast. Ariel is a contestant on season 6 and 18 of Hell's Kitchen. She ranked in third place in season 6, and on season 18, she was named the winner. She is a regional vice president of Landry's Del Frisco and Dos Caminos restaurants, and has a new book out this week of airing, Spice Kitchen, Healthy Latin and Caribbean Cuisine. Ariel, welcome to the program.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Ariel, I want to begin. This is a little bit of a non sequitur, but I saw in my research that your birthday is October 31st, and that is exciting. It's my favorite holiday. So, how has that been growing up for you, having that holiday?
How funny, it's mine too. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, for me, that's like the kickoff for the entire holiday season. And I'm such a nut. Starting October 1st through December 31st, I shine. That's my favorite time to entertain. I decorate my house. I roll right from Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas. So I absolutely loved it growing up. I thought everybody was knocking on my door to wish me a happy birthday, or at least that's what my parents told me about the trick-or-treaters. So it was definitely fun growing up.
Now I'm in the Bay Area, and you're a local. You're from Santa Cruz, which I think loosely is the larger Bay Area. And what was it like growing up there, and how did it influence your career in food?
I loved growing up in Santa Cruz. I mean, I didn't realize until I left to move to Southern California in my 20s that, what a special childhood I had there. I mean, the Bay Area is so wonderful, particularly, being in the Monterey Bay. I mean, just California in general, the produce, the seasons are different. I just grew up in a very kind of, I would call it quote unquote granola environment. Just really in touch with nature and in touch with, health and and all of those things that I didn't really value until much later in my life. But I realized that the foundation was definitely built growing up in Santa Cruz.
So now I wanted to ask you about culinary school. Where did you attend and what was the experience like for you to attend culinary school?
So I actually went to culinary school in Southern California in Pasadena at the Cordon Bleu, and it's actually not there anymore. But it was the California School of Culinary Arts Cordon Bleu program. And it was really special. I mean, this was before all of the, Food Network stuff and everything kind of blowing up. So it was still very much a trade that not very many people went into. And, I had a very long program. I did a 2-year program and then another 2 years. So it was very intense. It was an intense hospitality program. And it's definitely much different than it is today. I think you pay about twice as much today and you get half the length of the education. But it was a special time. It was competitive. I remember just really having the most intense chef instructors that some of them probably wouldn't fly anymore with some of the craziness in the kitchens when I came up in the business. But it was great. I loved it. It was one of my favorite experiences.
What was your first job outside of school?
I went to a restaurant in Venice Beach, kind of a celebrity haunt of a restaurant. It was called Globe. And it used to be called 72 Market Street before that, which was a very famous celebrity spot down there. And it was owned by Chef Joseph Manzar. And I basically shucked a million oysters there and finally eventually graduated to making the bread every day. And then I was lucky enough to get to graduate to making the pasta every day. And it was very old school. You had to earn your way onto the line. It was a long time before I was even allowed to make a salad in that restaurant. So very thankful for the sort of brigade teaching that I got at Globe Restaurant for sure.
Now you gained some acclaim from being on Hell's Kitchen. You were at seasons 6 and 18. How did you get to be on the program? How does that work?
What's funny because it was much later than when I was working at Globe. Where was I working at the time? I had to have been STK when STK opened in West Hollywood or on La Cienega, and there was a talent scout. Just kind of walking into kitchens along the avenue and looking for talent. And I think my chef was the one at the time. My executive chef was asked if he had anyone in his kitchen, any cooks, any sous chefs that they thought would, be good for the show. And he told them that they should talk to me. And I was like, no, that's not why I'm here. And, I ended up getting convinced he said, I'll even pay you. Take the day, go audition. I'll even let you clock in, get your hours. What's it going to hurt you to go and audition? And, I went, there was like thousands of people there. And I just didn't really even think it was going to happen. And I just kept making the next cut and the next cut and the next cut. Next thing you know, I've got a call back and then boom, they're calling me. I think it was Christmas break. They called me and said, we need you to pack up in 2 weeks and come film. So that was the first time, which was it's kind of unreal. I didn't really believe it was happening until it was time to go. And it was pretty intense. The first time was a very long sequestering. I think I was gone for like 5 weeks or something like that.
Oh my God. That's a long time.
It was a long time. It might have been 4 weeks, but it was no, it was 5 weeks for sure. It was 5 weeks. I remember they hadn't quite mastered the film time and how they could fit into one day. Because when I went back, it was definitely a much more condensed filming program. Same length of show, but they did it in half the time. But I just remember we couldn't bring our cell phones. We couldn't talk to our family. I mean, my job was luckily held for me when I came back, which is very kind of them to let me just disappear for 5 weeks. But I mean, at the time I was, young and I didn't have any children. So it wasn't, it was fine for me to be gone that long, but it was pretty crazy now that I look back on it.
I've talked to people from other shows like the Great British Bake Off and stuff. And I always ask them this because when I watch it, I live vicariously through this and I watch it because it's thrilling to me. For me, it's like watching a sports show for many guys that like sports. It's like exciting. I just can't imagine though doing it. It seems like the pressure would make I would crack under the pressure. What's it like being on these shows under all this like pressure to like perform and have everything be perfect?
I mean, it's very intense, and they kind of don't show you how they kind of amp up the pressure even more by kind of sleep depriving you and waking you up at these weird hours in the middle of the night to do challenges. And
Oh
you
God.
know people don't realize when you take away music and television and phone, and I mean, yes, back in the day that was one thing, but once you have all these kind of sensory things and you take that out of the equation, all you have is your thoughts and the other people. And people always ask me, like, how is it that on episode one there's already so much drama between these contestants? You guys just met each other. How could you be at each other's throats? And I'm like, well, we get thrown in a dorm room together, and we got to share bathrooms, and we're there for a couple of days. We've got no other output, or nothing to get away, and so all you have is each other, and you just start getting annoyed with people. And so you right out the gate, you've created a stressful environment. And then there's just constant changes, and the kitchen's really hot. I know it sounds funny, but I swear they must have the heat on in that kitchen. It's hotter than a normal kitchen.
Oh
And
God.
those French flat tops are insanely hot, so it's just like blistering heat. I mean, it's intense. It's very stressful. And a lot of people do crack under the pressure. I think that's what happens. People say, oh, well, I can't believe a chef would make a mistake like that. How could you do this, and how could you do that? And you really just don't know until you're there in the moment, dealing with it.
Now in season 18, you were named the winner, and you were I'm just going to edit that part out. I'm sorry. Let me just
Sure,
redo
no
that.
worries.
On season 18 of Hell's Kitchen, you were awarded an executive chef position at Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen restaurant at Caesar Palace in Las Vegas with a $250,000 salary. However, you turned its position down and kept the winning salary. And you were the season 18 winner title. How did winning feel for you?
Winning felt great. I mean, honestly, it was actually, the way it worked was it was $100,000 salary, and then
Sorry.
a
Yeah.
$150,000 prize money. So I ended up, I mean, people don't realize it filmed actually 2 years before it aired, because they film a few seasons back to back. So I was the first one on a 2-season film run. So I kind of had to like keep my mouth quiet and go about my life for 2 years before it aired. So it felt great, but it was kind of like a lackluster feeling because I couldn't tell anyone for 2 years.
Oh my God.
Uh,
I didn't know that. I don't know. Did anybody know? That's horrible.
so I mean, you can't start the job anyway, because then people would know you won. So I ended up taking a new job where I worked my way up the ladder. So I had a really great position. When the show finally aired, I had met my husband. I had a baby, and I had this new great position. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, I'm going to move to Las Vegas to take this executive chef role, with a new baby and a new husband. And I'm also a co-parent for everyone listening. So, that gets tricky because my husband has a daughter with someone else here.
Yeah,
So
I understand.
it wasn't the right time. So I had a conversation with Chef Gordon and Chef Christina, and they were completely understanding. And I just said, unfortunately, I can't, I just can't pick up and go at this time anymore. Thank you. And we're still on great terms. And so I just took the prize money and of the 150, which I earned the prize, and I ended up staying in Jersey.
Is Gordon Ramsay as intimidating as he seems on television?
Uh, Absolutely. Yes. He doesn't yell and scream like that. I mean, that's definitely part of the Hell's Kitchen. And, everyone's seen him on the other shows. That's not what he does. It's only in that, what's the other show where he goes in and the kitchen's a mess. Oh my God, I'm blanking out.
Yeah, Kitchen
Um,
Nightmares or something.
Kitchen
Yeah.
Nightmares. Yeah, everyone sees him on Kitchen Nightmares and Hell's Kitchen, where the premise is absolutely about him yelling. But you see him on Next Level Chef and on the Nat Geo show, and he's much more calm and humble, and he's very funny, but he's absolutely incredibly intimidating when he walks in the kitchen. That moment when it's time to start service and he walks in, he's much taller than you think too.
Oh my
He's a
God.
very tall man.
My God. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds tough to me. You're currently a regional vice president of culinary for Landry's del Frisco and Dos Caminos. Tell us about this work.
So my role is, I mean, I eat, breathe, and sleep anything that would relate to the culinary department. But I mean, the bulk of my job is really about developing the menus, anything around that purchasing, which right now is obviously challenging. Supply and demand is different than it's ever been, and so I have my hands in everything. I'm very much involved in the whole business aspect, but anything and everything that has to do with menu development, sourcing dishes, ingredients for new dishes. I do about 2 menu changes a year per concept, so that's 6 menu changes. So I mean, I keep myself pretty busy. Just by the time I change the menu, it's time to start looking at what we're going to do for the next season. And then of course, I work with the chefs. I have some concept chefs. I have a lot of executive chefs and sous chefs. So I work with them on training and, safety and systems and all that good corporate stuff.
That sounds like that's pretty impressive. That sounds like quite a bit of work too. Wow.
It is, but it comes naturally. It's kind of like I don't have the same kind of schedule I had when I was in a restaurant. It's definitely different because you're on all the time. But it's just about deciding what you're going to do and when, and kind of navigating what your focus is. And it's important that I'm involved with all the teams and getting them up to speed. And it's fun. We're opening 3 new restaurants this year, so we throw restaurant openings into the mix too, and that's a whole nother animal.
This episode is sponsored by Culinary Historians of Northern California, a Bay Area educational group dedicated to the study of food, drink, and culture in human history. To learn more about this organization and their work, please visit their website at www.chnorcal.org. Oh, wow. That does sound like anything opening anything, but at restaurants, I think would be quite intimidating to kind of a lot of pressure to kind of open that, I'm imagining.
It is, and it's you got to hire a whole slew of people, and it's like that opening date's coming whether you got them or not. So I think that's probably the scariest part is knowing you have to hire a whole staff. And it's fun though. I like the excitement. It's high energy. It feels like you've accomplished something, and there's nothing like that 3 months in when things are just finally rocking and rolling, and it's like, okay, all right, we did it.
You have a new book out, Spice Kitchen: Healthy Latin and Caribbean Cuisine, what made you decide to write this cookbook, and how did you decide on the theme?
This book was an important project for me. I grew up with different ethnicities and grandmothers and different cuisines, and we traveled a lot. And I remember my childhood was very, very full of flavor. And then I remember going into my young adulthood, and I kind of strayed away from some of those things when you're on your own, right? When you move out of the house and you're not around the family cooking, you kind of start just eating what you can afford, and you don't really cook like that. So you find yourself straying away when you're in your young adulthood. And then I went into trying to be fit and fitness and healthy lifestyle. And so I went very kind of narrow-minded into this realm of only drinking these juices and this, whatever, all of this super health food. But I just found that I was really missing the flavor. I was really missing the spice in my life. And, I do oversee a Mexican concept as well. So I'm always around this flavorful food, but it wasn't necessarily a part of my home life. And then, I knew that I wanted to introduce all of those flavors to the next generation, right? Because I grew up with all of that and wanted my children to experience that, but I didn't want to sacrifice, the new healthier lifestyle that I was living. So it was just kind of born from the need to, keep my new lifestyle and the desire to pass on and cherish the heritage foods as well. So, and a lot of these foods in their original state are just not the healthiest for you. So, small tweaks here and there, it doesn't take much. Small tweaks here and there with certain ingredients, and you can really like allow these dishes to shine through like they always did. It's just, you just have to know what you have to sub out, and that's really what it was about. Was I don't want to give all that stuff up. I want to eat healthy, but I want some flavor in my life,
When I read a lot of cookbooks that are quote unquote healthy, and I don't think like this book seems to be a lot of things. I wouldn't like type it because like it seems like it's got a lot of different angles, and I wouldn't say it's typical because I feel like first and foremost it's got a lot of like personality to it. It really seems like to be from your take on food, and I really liked the way you did a lot of things because it's healthy. But like I swear to God, I've read like I don't know 3 or 5 cookbooks on healthier cooking in the last year because I'm trying to, but I keep thinking, this seems kind of like work. Like it seems like it's going to be punishment food. You're trying to eat
right.
healthy and you're going to not going to enjoy it. Whereas everything here, I'm looking at it going, I would like everything in this. Everything seems really great. You have some omissions of like sugar and dairy, but nothing seems like you're losing out. Like everything seems like just to all win 100%. You got many things here that I've made before and cooked before, but different angles on it that I really liked. I think the one thing I want to mention the most was one thing I made for my family. So I make pozole for my family a lot, but I usually kind of make pozole verde or pozole rojo, but like I've made it in different ways. But I stuck to the recipe and did it as you instructed, and my family really loved it. The one thing I really liked was the omission of hominy. Oh no, there was hominy and then black-eyed peas together, which was really nice. And I really kind of liked the juxtaposition of that. And so I wanted, and like also, I really like the fact that you have baby back pork ribs, but also chicken thighs in there too. And just thought it was everybody loved it. Everybody's like, like
Oh,
everybody's
thank
eating it
you.
and making like, the appreciative noises when you make something good. So what were you thinking when you wrote this?
Well, I mean, that's a great example. I love that recipe. It's a great example of how you really don't have to do much to really kind of make it a lot healthier for you. You know, eh, the usually you make it, you're using a fatty pork shoulder or pork butt, and by using the baby back ribs, you're getting the pork flavor still, but you're taking out a lot of the fat by using a different cut of pork. But those ribs give you great flavor, right? And then, of course, the boneless, skinless chicken thighs. By the time everything kind of braises down, I mean, as long as you're okay eating chicken, pork, and pork together, which I love mixing my proteins in
Yeah.
stews, you really kind of cut a lot of the fat out for anyone who's looking for a low-fat diet. And I touch on a lot of different diets, but just like with the hominy, with the black-eyed peas, for anyone listening that doesn't know about beans, beans have carbs, but black-eyed peas have the least amount of carbs out of all the beans. So by taking out half the hominy and putting in the black-eyed peas, you lose out on a lot of the carbs if you're looking for a low-carb diet. So I try to touch on, I'm not just one thing, right? I don't call myself keto. I don't call myself paleo. I don't call myself anything. I try to touch on all the different ways that you can minimize or decrease some of the sugar or fats or carbs in your diet, whichever you're going for. But I also note that if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. These recipes work in their full fat and full carb form too. So I hope that people will also just look at this as, hey, I need a good Latin and Caribbean cuisine cookbook. I can use this one whether I'm going on a healthy diet or not. So it was important to me that I talked a lot about substitutions, whether you have to, whether you don't have to, different angles you can take. For example, pumpkin versus butternut squash. They cook and eat almost identically, but pumpkin is definitely lower in sugar, lower in carbs, and has some great nutrients for you. And so I like to introduce pumpkin or papaya versus using mango all the time. So I really just, like you said, it's my take, and thank you so much for the positive feedback. It's my take. All of these things are full of flavor, but it's just how you can do certain things to improve your health. And it's not about being skinny. just about, yes, if you, follow these recipes, you will leave a thinner lifestyle, but it's also about mental health as well. A lot of the foods that I use have aspects to them that really help with mental clarity, good for your heart, good for your brain, good for your blood. So I don't want people to think this is a book, this is a weight loss book. It's not a weight loss book. It's an overall, how to have flavor, wellness, health, all wrapped in one.
Yeah, because I like the fact that you didn't really call it, you didn't have like a name like, usually people always attach like keto or this or that, and immediately I almost always get bored because I know it's probably going to be from somebody who doesn't usually cook. I think I have so
Yeah.
many times where people like they give recipes for rice flour or coconut flour or almond flour, but I always get the sense they don't know what the hell they're doing. And with you, like I really feel like, for instance, I'm going to give an example. I tried the rum cake, and because I got a new bundt pan, and I thought, yeah, I want to try to use this. I had some coconut flour, and I thought I really want to try. I've been kind of afraid to use it, to be honest with you. So I made the recipe, and it really turned out well, and the family really loved it. But nobody felt like it was like weird or unusual. It was like totally like normal, and it made me feel kind of confident to cook with coconut flour. So I think the one thing, the takeaway with the book is like it's got a lot of different stuff in there, like uses of almond flour, um, coconut oil, coconut flour, but it's all like really good applications where you're going to be confident. And I feel like the one thing for me, it's like your breakfasts are all healthy breakfasts, but they're also good. So it makes you want to eat it. Like you're not going to get up and have to look at something that's like kind of dull and go, I don't know.
Well, breakfast is a big one for me because, I try not to do too many substitutions, rather just use ingredients that will have a better, effect on your index, right? To start your day. Baking, yeah, you do have to work with substitutions, but breakfast is a big one for me. It's, I don't like cheating myself at breakfast. It's one of my favorite meals. I love breakfast on the weekends with the family or brunch, so, for example, the smoked salmon. I love a smoked salmon everything bagel, but I can't, I don't eat bagels anymore. Every once in a
Yeah.
while, yeah, of course. I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't enjoy a bagel every once in a while. I mean, you gotta have a bagel every once in a while. But I love the Norwegian crisp breads. The seeded breads they give you all that seeded flavor and a little crunch. And then you get, the cashew cream cheese and the smoked salmon, and you get all of the things that you're looking for in that flavor. But you don't feel heavy and bloated to start your day. So yeah, no, I really, really wanted to make sure that we weren't losing out on all the good flavors.
And I want to mention too, jumping off of that, that you do have instructions on how to make things like the nut butters and the non-dairy, items. So it's like you're helping us stock our pantry with the things we'll want to use too, which I think is wonderful because that doesn't always happen. It's like, oh, buy some nut butter or this or that, and you're actually helping us make our own, which I really liked. And you have a lot of recipes for like making your cashew cream cheese, making salsa, chocolate almond butter shake, triple papaya smoothie, pumpkin pancakes. There's a lot of just really wonderful family friendly things. I think that was one thing I like too, is like, this is good, I think, not just for some like single person trying to get healthy, but this is good family fare. Like the griddle cake casserole, for breakfast, for dinner, that'd be like a perfect item, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have kids, so it's like, you have to, you can't cheat them out. I mean, I have a donut recipe in there. You got to have things for the kids. You can't just, only take care of the grown-ups. So yeah, no, I absolutely have the little ones in mind, or entertaining too. One of the things that I really, sauces are huge for me. So, if anything, this book has a bunch of different sauces and
Yeah.
dressings that even if you're not going healthy at all, you could use any one of those dressings or sauces and put them on any protein or any salad that you're making. So I liked it as a jumping off point too, soup, sauces, and of course you can buy stuff too. Like I give you a recipe for, like you said, cashew cream cheese, but you can also buy it at Whole Foods if you want. You don't have to make it yourself.
Yeah. You have some great mains that I really loved. And I'm often trying to find meatless Monday stuff. And this arepas with jackfruit carnitas looks amazing. And then, you know, you have some like wonderful. You had the pork roasted into the banana leaves, which I can't wait to try. The soups are amazing. This is a great variety of soups for when it starts to get cooler here, and we want to have some warming foods, and just so many beautiful things. Like I want to ask you about the baked empanadas because you use cassava flour and coconut flour and arrowroot starch. You have some really inventive ways with making the empanadas that I really enjoyed, and it makes it look really inviting. Because people who I love empanadas, I could eat them all day, but if you do that all day, it's
Yeah.
going to kill you. So it's nice to have like a healthy alternative, you know.
It's it's also it's not just about, subbing out the flours, but the not, deep frying them if you're looking to, eliminate the fat that you get, because people don't realize, even if you sub out flours but still deep fry something, I mean, the amount of oil that gets soaked up when you fry something is alarming, and people don't really realize how much it is. But I just wanted to make sure that there was definitely a healthier alternative, because it's the combination of the alternative flour and the baking, so I can feel a lot less guilty about eating that.
I've never seen a more beautiful preparation of ceviche than yours. You have just the glorious reds from the pomegranate seeds and the pink grapefruit juice, just really beautiful. I mean, it just
Oh,
pops out.
thank you.
You must have been very happy with the photography, the food photography, because the food photography is amazing in this book. Were you really happy to see that when you were producing the book?
Absolutely, and I want to make sure I give credit to Teddy Wolf, because I just, it was so funny because we had a stylist, of course, and then we had the photography, and after the session, it's so hard to wait, right? You kind of have to just wait, and it's like, oh my god, I hope we got it. I don't know how they came out. So it was also a test too, because someone else was making the recipes. So it was like, oh wow, okay, let's see this is almost like the test run of someone following it and shooting it at the same time, because the stylist had never made this stuff before. So it was kind of satisfying to see, okay, they were able to follow the recipe. And they were able to, because sometimes like you could read it and edit it a million times, but unless it's a person who's never made it before making it for the first time, you want to make sure that it works for the next person doing it. So when those photos finally came back, it was so wonderful and thrilling to see your creations come to life on the page, and they did such a beautiful job with the colors, and definitely, it's me on a page for sure.
I've never seen food photography make salads look so good. I
I
mean,
know they did a wonderful job. I'm very happy with it.
yeah, I mean, so as of this airing, the book's going to come out tomorrow. As of this airing, how does it feel to have this? What must be like having another baby kind of come out? Uh, this must be very exciting for you.
I'm so excited. I can't even put it into words. It's like, it feels like it's been so long in the making, and it does feel like another child. I'm, also nervous, are people going to like it? Everyone's like, oh, you're so confident, this and that. But you know what? Any artist or anyone who has a craft or a trade, you want people to enjoy your work. But above all, I really want to make sure that everyone really knows the message and what it means to me to share these foods that I just really, really cherish and enjoy. And I just hope that all walks of life will enjoy this book, really. And I could not be more excited for tomorrow to come.
This book is a winner. I just can't imagine anybody not enjoying this. It's really beautiful. And just, I think if they just open it up briefly, they're going to get hooked.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me.
So I want to just leave with one last question. I like to ask this of my guests. Can you tell us about a meal that you've had recently that was memorable, that kind of really stuck in your mind?
Oh my gosh, I have to think for 1 second. I've been on the road for work. I'm like, when's the last time I had a wonderful meal? Let's see. Hold on, let me think for 1 second. Oh, you know what? My husband and I mean, we love date night. We love going out to dinner. And we of course always like to try something new. It's hard when you find a place you really love because it's like you want to go back there, but there's so many new restaurants that you want to try. And I mean, how often do we get date night, right, with the kids? So it's like, unfortunately, every time it's also kind of a new restaurant. But I recently got to finally try the Don Angie restaurant in New York, and the Italian restaurant, and it was really wonderful. The lasagna there, and that was a cheat for me because I don't eat regular lasagna very often. So I don't know if it's because I don't eat it very often that it was one of the best lasagnas I've ever had, but I think it really was truly exceptional, and I enjoyed that meal. So if you are in New York, go to Don Angie. It's worth it. You will not be disappointed.
Ariel, I want to thank you for being on the podcast, and I want to let everybody know again that the book Spice Kitchen, Healthy Latin and Caribbean Cuisine will be out tomorrow as of this airing. We're also going to post a link to the Amazon link to get the book. You can pre-order it, get a copy while it lasts because it's going to go into reprint. I'll tell you that right now. Ariel, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so wonderful chatting with you.
That was my conversation with Chef Ariel Fox. Her book, Spice Kitchen, Healthy Latin and Caribbean Flavors, will be out on August 23rd, which is a Tuesday. This airing is August 22nd, which is a Monday, so it'll be on this tomorrow for you listeners who listened to it on the day it came out. You can order the book ahead of time if you're listening to this on the Monday. After that, you can order it in real time anytime you want on Amazon or through other vendors. Or if you live in the Bay Area, you can go to better bookstores and get it there. Omnivore Books in San Francisco is a fine example of one of our better bookstores. I hope you enjoyed this episode and will be with us next week on our second episode of Season 8. We're going to have Tara Jensen with her book Flour Power, The Practice and Pursuit of Baking Sourdough Bread, which will also be coming out that week as well. So we're having a lot of new books coming out, and you're going to be able to hear her talk about her wonderful book and her career in baking bread. It's going to be a really wonderful conversation, and I can't wait for you to listen to it. I hope you all have a really lovely week, and I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. It's been a pleasure to be doing this, and I'm so excited and happy to be doing an 8th season. I hope you all have a really wonderful week, and keep on cooking.
When Sweet Tarts dared to combine sweet and tart, they thought, why stop there? Why not create other exciting and unexpected combinations, like rainbows and ropes, or fruity and gummy, or chewy and more chewy? That's why they created fun treats like Sweet Tarts Twisted Rainbow Ropes, Gummies Fruity Splits, and Chewy Fusions. When you dare to combine, it's sure to blow your mind. Sweet Tarts, dare to combine. Visit sweettartscandy.com to shop now.
Getting better, better than